Welcome once again to the Formula Forza Pre-Race Podcast by JET Motorsport. I'm your host, Ryan McDowell, gamertag Siphon68.
And I'm Derek James, gamertag Magnum278.
And I am WennaJ, aka Brad James.
Well, let's get right down to it, shall we? 2 weeks ago, we saw the R1 season kick off with some of the most intense qualifying we've ever seen in Formula Forza. Around Suzuka circuit, we saw some really intense, very close times here that we've never seen, really. I mean, I said some of the closest. It really is the closest qualifying we've ever seen. We had 36 drivers qualifying for Suzuka's race, and 30 moved on to the race. But we look at the times that we've got here, and the Group A cutoff, which is the top 15, if you would have been the Group B first position, so we take that's overtake for Suzuka at a 1:42.431. If he would have set that time last year, that would have been fourth in Group A last year. So that it just shows where this has gone. The whole field has gotten faster, just ridiculously faster. And we had several people tie, and lots of the field. I mean, it was rare for anyone to be more than a tenth or two away from the people around them. You had the top 8 that were faster than pole position from last year. That's astonishing to me that it was that fast. What do you guys think?
It seemed like to me that going from when we did last week's podcast Wednesday night, that if you watched qualifying through the weekend, it got quicker and quicker as it went on. People kept pushing each other. The top 8, the guys that did it, Drake set his time Wednesday night, and then immediately Jack came in, and then Senna came in, and Bulin and Alex came in, and then those top 5 were battling it out until Saturday when Roadrunner, Eggy, and Overdrive joined in, and they kind of mixed it all up in that top 8.
I think it's ridiculous because, I posted a 43.2. That was my qualifying time. And when I posted, I was like, oh yeah, Group A. And then the cutoff for Group A was a 42.3, so a little disappointed there.
But really, a 42.3 isn't anything to be ashamed of. We've got an ultra-competitive Group A, and what we have this year is a Group B that is pretty much just as prestigious to be in, because you got guys like Bloody Kane, the BTR guys, Morbid Tacos. You got one of the Midnight Performance guys was in there, 100th Thai, Chicken McHaggard. These aren't names to just look over. Overtake in there, Overtake from AVR in there with a 142.4. I mean, it's just shocking to see those guys going to Group B, but it just shows that we're much closer than we've really ever been. Look at Group B positions 3 and 4 actually tied for placement, but Bloody Kane actually set his time first, so he picks up the 3rd spot. Just ridiculous qualifying across the board. And at the top, only 0.06 of a second separate Alex P from Bulin Wall. I don't know that anybody knew that they were going to quite go 140.7s, but it really shows just how fast and how hard these guys are pushing their cars. And for the top 8, for none of those to be Acuras is astonishing to me as well, that those are all, non-top level cars.
I can't recall off the top of my head, but has a tie ever happened before in qualifying?
I believe it has. I believe we've had one qualifying before, and during this qualifying, we actually had more than one tie. Derek, you were tied with TLR Eclipse for a while there over the Group A, Group B break point, and you were going to be held in Group B if you didn't improve, because TLR Eclipse set his time first. So that was, and then of course you both went faster by a significant amount there, and that's props to you guys for pushing the times. I mean, you look at your time. Had you set your time last year, you'd have been 4th, just behind Bloody Kane.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And then you look even farther down the list, you go B5, B6, the two BTR guys, they were 2/1000ths of a second off of each other. That's amazing for two teammates to be that equal to each other.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into the race results. As you know, 2 weeks ago, the race did happen on that Sunday, and despite some connection issues, lobby issues that we had, the race did occur, and we've got some results here. Alex P pulls in his first win of the season, his first R1 win ever. During that race, he kind of led a dominant race right from the get-go. There was a bunch of position shuffle right behind him, and several contacts made right in the first lap. You looked at Drake Hellspawn, started 8th, and he was tapped out by a racing incident with Johnny Two Shoes. And so that was pretty surprising to see one of the big dogs taken down right off the bat. Not long after that, you got FMS Senna damage from the pit wall, lap 19. He came in either just a little bit too hot from the replay. It looks like he was just a little bit too far to the left. Wheels caught the patch of grass just before pit lane and slammed right into the pit wall, and that retired him for the race there. And then Lewis lag out on lap 25. TLR Eclipse unfortunately unable to join, or well, he joined and then we had a lag out basically lap 1. So he acquires lag out points for that race. On the podium for the Japanese GP in Group A, we've got Bulin in second, making a valiant climb back up to second after dipping back into 8th at one point, clawing his way back up to second, fighting through much of the field after some light damage that he acquired through that. Both Serpent Racing guys had a pretty good fight and were both on podium at one point. But XPR Roadrunner, that's Mopar for those that aren't familiar with his new name, able to pull out the final podium spot in Group A, finishing just 15 seconds behind Alex P, 11 seconds behind Bulin. So down in Group B, Derek, do you have the results right there?
Yes, I do. If you go Group B, the podium, Bloody Kane with the win for Group B in RSR, even though it's not technically a overall win, he still, wins Group B, XY, and CD, both podium, XY for Caterham GB and CD for BAR, but it seems like that race was still as intense. There were some big names in there still. I mean, you had Sam's Ferrari, Ryan, your brother, came back and did his first race since last R1 season.
Let me just make a quick point there. Sam's Ferrari was actually in the drop zone for qualifying, but when it came time for the race, enough people didn't show up that he was actually called up from that drop zone. So for those of you that are listening, if you find yourself ever in that drop zone, be sure you're there race day ready to go, because if guys don't show up, we will call up guys into Group B. So yeah, Young Killa from Wheeling AFD unavailable, Pazamash unresponsive. So Sam's Ferrari moved up into that 15th slot for Group B.
Yeah, and as you go farther down the list, I believe, Brad, you guys had a lobby split, right?
Basically
Or
what
just a bunch of
happened
lag
was, I don't know, it was just like, from I think it was around lap 6 or 7, it was just somebody lagged out, and then from then on till basically the end of the race, it was one lag out after another, and basically the weakest connections got, I don't know, withered away, and they got kicked from the race, I guess.
Yeah, because both BoshTech guys did not finish.
Yeah, well, BTR Techers was actually due to damage on lap 1. He was a retirement on lap 1. Totaled out his car. It was I believe in the S's he got tapped, or maybe it was turn 1.
It was turn 1.
Yeah. So he retired out And then you have BTR Snakey, who was actually running first. He was running in the lead of Group B for quite some time, up until lap 19 when he succumbed to connection as well. So he lagged out and brings home 14th place. It's really disappointing to see him drop that far after climbing up to first from 5th in Group B. So then we start. I'll just go ahead and list off the rest of the lag outs here. Adam Watson lags out, takes home 13th. Ferrari Fanatic lags out from 12th. Then Chicken McHaggard and Pipin 629 had an interesting scenario where they lagged, but were left in a lobby alone to finish the race. Formula Forza has taken a stance that if this happens to you and you do finish your race, you take a picture of your screen and you send it to the administrators, either the email or somehow you get that picture to us, you post it on the Facebook wall, whatever. We will honor your finishing placement amongst those that lagged finished. So you're going to finish behind everybody else that didn't retire, or we count it like a timer DNF, essentially. So it's as if you didn't have enough time to finish the race and were just DNF due to the end of race timer. So Chicken McHaggard just barely squeaks ahead of Pipin 629 in his replay proof that he gave us. So they end up finishing in 20th and 21st positions overall, 10th and 11th in Group B. And then from there, we did have 9 total finishers from the Group B race. And, like we said before, this race was very close after Snakey lagged out. You got XY finishing just 2 seconds behind Bloody Kane. That's a close race. And third, CD 195, just another 10 seconds behind that.
Yeah, I remember, just based from my experience, it was a very fun race because, even after the pitting, it was still there were relatively close, within 1,000 feet between me and the person in front of me or the person behind me. So it was still a very exciting race.
Yeah, Brad, you picked up 5th place in Group B, and just ahead of Overtake, who dropped from first, I believe, due to collision, hold-up damage from 100th thigh from Caterham. But you finished looks like just 22 seconds behind Morbid Tacos, but just 50 seconds behind, less than a minute behind the leader. So it is impressive that it really is that close. I mean, one mistake can certainly hand a lead off, with that kind of gap.
Yeah, I my first race in Formula Forza, I remember I got lapped so many times at Suzuka, and I was like, oh man. It's I'm terrible. And then I don't think anybody who didn't have damage got lapped at at least for Group B.
Yeah, we did have one penalty that was issued since we just talked about Overtake sliding down to 6th from 1st. We did have to issue a penalty to 100th Thai from Caterham. Negligent driving. He had a 2-point incident against Overtake, where he had a collision with him while Overtake was in 5th. Overtake slid to 6th, and that's a 2-point difference there. So he picks up those 2 penalty points. He had a collision with Sam's Ferrari while he was in 8th. 100th Thai picked up that spot into 8th. Sam's Ferrari slid down to 9th, so that's another 2 points. And then he was impeding Morbid Tacos while Morbid Tacos was attempting to lap him. So no real disadvantage there. Morbid Tacos finished 16 seconds behind CD 195. But the overall negligent driving, we gave it another point. So 5 points total doesn't seem like a lot, but when he only earned, we're talking about 22 points total, that takes him down to 17 points. That's, it's good that we're keeping balances, but we never like to see negligent driving, and it does need to be corrected as soon as it happens.
Passing points, you want to talk about that?
That's a good point you bring up. CD 195 started 13th in Group B. That's 27th overall, but 13th in Group B. He moved up due to lag outs, retirements, legitimate overtakes. He moved up to 3rd I don't care who you are, that's impressive. That is really impressive. 13th to 3rd, almost regardless of the conditions, is amazing. That's a phenomenal drive from him in his bar BMW. But 6 of those were legitimate overtakes on track. He moved up 10 positions from 13th to 3rd, but 4 of those were due to lag outs.
So those wouldn't count.
Correct, they do not count. It was a clarification of the rules that yes, he did move up 10 positions. Passing lagged out players or taking the position of lagged out drivers does not count for overtake points. So he does pick up 6 overtakes, which is still mighty impressive, and really hats off to CD195 pulling off an excellent race there at Suzuka. Up in Group A, you had the most overtakes, tied for Overdrive going to 4th from 7th, so he picks up 3 overtake points. And you look at Kyle or Clement going from 9th up to 6th, picking up another 3 points. So they're tied up there in Group A for overtake points. And from that, you see several people with 2 overtake points. Bloody Kane, the winner of Group B, moves up from 3rd to 1st for 2. Morbid Tacos and WennaJ also picking up 2 points as well. So several position changes. It's good to see those things for sure.
Yeah, what CD did, those 6 passing points, with as close as the field is, that's amazing. That is very good to pass 6 people, regardless of lag outs and stuff like you said. That's very impressive to pass 6 people.
And on a tough track like Suzuka.
So let's go on to the bonuses paid this race. So we're looking at the Group B bonuses, which are every race. You got 250,000 credits going to Bloody Kane for winning Group B, 200,000 credits going to XY101 of Caterham Team GB for second in Group B, 100,000 credits going to CD195 from Bar for third, and 90,000 credits going to Morbid Tacos from Rising Sun Racing, 60,000 credits going to WennaJ for his 5th place. We also got the wild card for this race was the winner of the closest battle between non-teammates, and that came down in Group A to TheOneNamedJack and Magnum 278, the battle over 7th place. Rock Lewis S was right in there battling that out as well, but unfortunately due to that lag out on lap 25, we don't know where that would have ended up. But it turned out the 1 second gap between TheOneNamedJack and Magnum 278 hands that 4 million credit bounty to TheOneNamedJack from Caterham R1.
Yeah.
Man, if you would have pulled, it was close right to the very end on that. I mean, it's the nature of that bounty, but man, had you been able to pull out an overtake there, or him make a slight mistake, that would have been just truly impressive.
Well, he did a couple times. I wouldn't say it was really mistakes. It was more of dipped a couple tires off, slowed it down a bit. But the arrow wash from that Payouts, I said it during the race, that Payouts is like trying to shove a boxcar from a locomotive through the air. You get behind that thing, you get no aero advantage. It's just a hole where there's no wind coming over the car. You try to turn behind the thing, going through the 130R, trying to keep up with him. I couldn't. I had to let off to either go around the corner correctly, or I went way wide because I just got so much aero wash that the front washed out, and I could not turn that car. So that was a hard battle, and I had to adapt throughout the race to trying to come up with ways to catch him up, because I would catch him up in the S's, and then we get to the straightaways before or after Spoon and after 130, and then on the front straight, and he would pull out because the Payouts has all that power, and I had constantly lap after lap. He would gain all that ground back. I would make it up in the S's and through sector 2, and then as soon as we got to sector 3, he'd build it all up again.
All right, well, let's move on to the standings before we move on further away from Suzuka. Let's just list off here the top 10. Brad, do you have the top 10 driver championship results there right in front of you?
I do. Okay, so I'm just gonna rattle off the names and the points that they have. In first place would be Alex P with 120 points. That would be 100 points because he won. and then a 20 extra points because he did qualify first out of overall. In second place would be the Bulin with 85 points. Third place, XBR Roadrunner with 77 points. In fourth place, Overdrive with 71. Fifth place, XBR Eggy with 63. Sixth place, Clementalith with 60. Seventh place, TheOneNamedJack with 53. Eighth place, Magnum 278 with 51. Ninth place, Johnny Two Shoes with 47. And finally in 10th place, James Hall with 44.
All right, and then Derek, do you have our top 5 team championship right there that you can read off for us?
Yes, I do. In first place is the Serpent Racing team, which is XPR Roadrunner and Overdrive pulling out that third and fourth place finish to steal the first spot. Second is Aces Wild with 131 points. Third is Penzo Zexel with 97. Fourth is JET Motorsport with 95. And fifth is LLBM Motorsport R1 with 76.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about the interview we had with Drake Hellspawn, teammate Alex P., the Bulin Wall, and TheOneNamedJack, winner of that bounty we just talked about. And when we come back from that, we'll talk about LLBM results, our partner and sort of sister league, and what happened over there in their first 2 races.
Okay, guys, nice job and congratulations on the win, Alex, and the second place Bulin. I'm going to start off with Alex. How much preparation did you do to, get ready for this race?
Well, where did it start? Months ago when we got the day when we got the draft, sorry. When we got to the draft point, that's probably when I started practicing. Then I took a bit of a break, and it's really this last week, the race weekend.
And then you made that stupid boat setup.
Yeah, the high front end, low after the ground. So
you're hearing the voice of Drake Hellspawn, teammate of Alex P., also Aces Wild Motorsport captain. Alex, if you had to estimate for us, how many laps do you think you did in preparation for this?
200 more? I don't really know.
Wow. How many times did you have to actually redo your qualifying time to get that pole?
Quite a lot. It was trying to get the lap together. Like Bulin said to me before, it was just I had so many 1 minute 41 ones. I couldn't count how many there were. Then I just finally got the lap together, and that was the only sub 40 I got.
Bulin, was there any anger in knowing that Alex beat you, or was it just kind of mutual respect for what he did?
I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of anger, more so that I only missed it by about half a tenth. I mean, if he blew me out of the water, I wouldn't have been I would have only been a little bit irritated because, I want pole. But, I mean, I just couldn't get the lap together. The fastest driver got it, and he deserved it. So, hats off to him.
Yeah, thank you. With all three, you, including you, Drake, what were your reactions with the race? What did you guys think?
I thought it could have gone a lot better than it did for most people. I mean, the part at the beginning that was, from what happened to me, that was kind of my fault. I just messed up the launch horribly. But I incurred a little bit of damage, but I held on. I mean, a lot of people got damaged that race, so I can't really complain. But, yeah, I hope we see a better race next 2 weeks.
Drake, watching that race like it was from you because of your unfortunate damage in the pits, was that a fun race to follow, or was it just kind of, mediocre, what you expected?
It was great. Just watching the battles. I mean, you had Jack and Magnum going at it, real close, going back and forth. Bulin coming back from, 6th to 2nd. The Serpent Racing guys going at it with Eggy catching them towards the end of the race. Clement on his late race pit strategy. It was really interesting, really exciting, especially with all the mayhem.
I think this really was the spectators' race. I mean, from where I was standing, spectating the entire race, I saw all the really close battles happening between, Bulin Wall climbing back up, Clement trying to gain on Eggy. It was certainly a close battle the whole way around. And then, between TheOneNamedJack and you, Magnum, I mean, that was a really good battle.
Yeah, I mean, from my position, it seemed like an exciting race. I mean, Jack and I and Lewis until he lagged out, which is unfortunate. What we saw from where we were at, what sounded like it was a great race to everybody, and it seemed like Jack and I didn't see anybody that entire race. We were kind of stuck on our own.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Jack, everybody. He just joined in on our interview for this here podcast. But Jack, what were your thoughts on the race?
I thought it was good. I mean, I'm kind of mad that, everyone kind of wrecked. I mean, it took a lot of us out of the race.
Well, I think we can agree that the race certainly wasn't short on any action or surprises here. So, I'm sure a lot of drivers wish that the race had gone differently. Some drivers really, should be happy with the results as they stand. But we can be sure that this has been, an exciting road to get to this point, and I for one can't wait to see where this is going to take us.
Thank you guys for coming on and doing this post-race interview for the podcast, and hope it all goes well for you guys next week.
All right, and we're back, and right now we're going to go into the LLBM news and results for the first two races over the past 2 weekends. And just briefly, in case you didn't hear it last week or you don't get it, LLBM is like a semi-partner league with Formula Forza. They use the same rule book as Formula Forza. They run the same they run the same format series. They try to make sure that they model their league after us and all of their rules and regulations. And the two leagues they have right now running is the LLBM Le Mans Series, which is modeled after the World Endurance Championship, or more specifically the American Le Mans Series, where they have four classes. The LMP1 or LMP class, which is full-on prototype cars, and then you got GTs, which are off the street, souped up, powered up Grand Tours, and then you got LMPCs, which are the Chevrolet LMPC car from ALMS, and then you got GTC, which is the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup from ALMS and Endurance Championships and stuff like that. And then the other one, which they don't have going on right now, is the Gallardo Cup, which is a spec series that they race the 05 Gallardo at a bunch of tracks around in a short, it's a 9 or 10 race championship. But that's pretty much a rundown of LLBM. But the first 2 weeks here, the first race at Sebring, which happened the 6th of January on Sunday, qualifying ended in LMP1 with Clementilith stealing the pole with a 1:43.732, and then you moved down to GT with Sterling Sharpie from Speed Tech with the BMW M3 with a 2-minute .882 or 822, sorry. And then you go down to LMPC, Siphon 68 from Jet Caterham sets a 1:54.604, very impressive time. Then you go down to GTC, Bulin Wall from Flying Lizard Racing sets a 2:05.712, and after a very exhilarating race in both lobbies, the results turn out. Clementilith from LLBM Benetton gets the win overall in LMP with TheOneNamedJack, and Paladin Evans from Audi Sport Team Nick Ty in the Audi R18 finishing out the podium. And in GT, Sterling Sharpie from pole gets the win in the BMW M3, and then MXR from Forza Unlimited Racing in their Gallardo LP560-4 gets second place on the podium, and then Blazing Loud in the LLBM 4 GT finishes out the podium for GT. And then you move down to LMPC, Siphon 68 again from pole gets the win with Cookie Monster from Clone Racing finishing second, and WennaJ in third. And then GTC again from pole, the Bulin Wall 5 gets the win for Flying Lizard. TLR Eclipse from Tech Life finishes second, and Addy from RD2 Racing gets third. And moving on to the second race of the weekend at Laguna Seca, January 13th, last Sunday, the qualifying results ended in LMP with MXR Relentless from Muscle Milk getting the pole with the 111.375, and Clementalith following it up with a 112.328, and then down in GT, overtake from AAA in the Ferrari F430 sets a time of 123.668. And then moving down to LMPC, Siphon again with his second pole of the season with a 118.099. And then down at GT, Bulin Wall completes the doubleheader pole for Flying Lizard with a 126.306. And then at least in GT, it was an exciting race. MXR Relentless finishes the race from pole with Clementalith following it up for LLBM Benetton, and then Paladin Evans getting his second podium of the season for Muscle Milk Team Neon. And then down in GT, Overtake from pole gets the win in the F430, and Nebraska from Reddit Racing GT in the Jaguar XKR, along with his teammate, finish out the podium. And then in LMPC, Siphon 68 gets the win from pole with Fractal 13 from Clone Racing in second, and Kanatsu 555 from LLBM Verizon finishing third. And then GTC, Bulin Wall finishes from pole in first, along with Terminator from RD2 and the Dynamic Uno from RD2 in second and third. And right now we are going to move on to the community. Brad, I think you could take it over from here.
One of the major things, at least in my mind, that's happening in the community right now is actually on the Formula Forza website. There's a vote on the side, and right now it's how do you think the Manufacturers' Championship should be tallied? And there's 4 choices. First one would be sum of all driver points, which is what it is now. The second would be the sum of top 2 drivers per event, which would be the 2 manufacturers and the drivers that finished the highest out of that manufacturer. And then the third choice would be the highest scoring driver for each event, which would only be 1 driver per manufacturer. And then the fourth choice would be average of all the drivers. So I feel like that's something that everybody should vote on, because I can't remember how many people voted, but it's below 20, I believe. Is that correct?
We're at 21 votes right now. So it looks like just a little bit over half are voting for changing how it currently is to just the top 2 drivers per event. The Manufacturer Championship is just something that we added this year. There's no prizes or award for it. It's just kind of interesting to see how the Manufacturer Championship would play out. It should somewhat incentivize cooperation between manufacturer teams. So, for example, perhaps Team Repsol and Serpent Racing for Ferrari would collaborate on tunes and things like that. It just is something that helps bond the teams together. I know both Audi teams, Rising Sun Racing and Audi Vitaphone Racing, have just announced their collaboration together, and I think that's a good thing across the board when you have things like that. But the reason for should we change it is you look at teams, manufacturers that only have one team, such as like Bentley or Honda. Those guys are going to be inherently at a disadvantage if they want to see their manufacturer do well. So since it's not for points, it's something that can be changed. So we're just kind of asking the community what they want to see. And so far it does look like they want to change it to just take the top 2 drivers per event. So we'll have to see how that plays out. It'll probably stay up there for another week or 2. Like I said, since there's nothing on the line, we can kind of take our time with that. It's not really all that important to see that play out. Brad, you got anything else going on in the community?
How about the Formula Forza video from Siphon 68's point of view of the LLBM races, Sebring?
Yes. Siphon posted through the Formula Forza admin on YouTube would be basically the LLBM challenge race from his point of view, and it's about an hour long. And I would advise going to watch it. It's pretty cool, especially if you don't race with the guys. It'd be pretty cool to go watch that and basically see what they see and hear what they hear.
Yeah, that's an interesting series. The LLBM Challenge Series. Cookie Monster was right there. You could see him in my rear view for most of the race, but there weren't a lot of position changes among the classes. But what you did see was constant pressure in each of the classes, and you got to see a pretty good battle between Magnum and reserve driver Addy in the GTC classes. Even though the qualifying times aren't nearly as close as they are in R1, you see overtaking just due to the classes, lapping LMPC lapping GTC or LMP lapping GT in their respective lobby.
Plus the last edit there that you put up, Ryan, has your proposed Forza 5 video HUD with the overtakes, the class passes, the blue flag overtakes for passing a slower class, and then the yellow flag timer at the beginning of the race for the start.
Yeah, that took me a little bit to edit that in, but I think for a race that if you just advance forward and you want to see what's happening in the race, those blue lines are for lap down traffic, and I really hope that they do incorporate something like that into Forza 5. There is actually an article that's being worked on that is a whole list of Forza 5 suggestions for improvement, that sort of thing, and we really do hope that once that comes out, we can kind of promote that and see how much input we get, because we really do like Forza. We like racing with it. There's just some things that could really make it a clear leader.
Got anything more, Brad?
BoshTech is one of the teams in Formula Forza that actually has their own website, and you can go visit that at www.BoshTechRacing.com. And basically, it's got their Facebook wall up there, and it's like a forum type thing, and it's got videos and stuff on it. And if you want to know more about BoshTech Racing, you could go check that out.
BoshTech is a pretty good group of guys. Like I started talking to them as soon as they joined the Formula Forza season, and it's a group of drivers that just are constantly aspiring to improve, which is kind of the whole purpose of Formula Forza to begin with, is to make everybody faster. We're not the fastest guys in the world, but the idea is that at the end of the season you've improved significantly from where you were at the beginning of the season, and that's kind of what these guys embody. And it kind of shows already with both BTR Snakey and BTR Techers being in the top 100 for R1. Certainly a good group of guys that will support you if you decide to go in there and race for BTR in the future.
Yeah, we encourage you to check out their website. It's a cool thing. If you guys just contact them, they might allow you to drive with them. They're nice guys. We're going to go right now into the real world news section of this podcast. Pretty much the only thing we really have to talk about is the unveiling of the new Corvette C7. It's making a lot of noise right now up at the Detroit Auto Show, and pretty much everywhere. All the websites you go on, Car and Driver, Top Gear, Road and Track, Automotive, all you do is you go on there, first thing on the homepage, Corvette C7. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, the base model has 450 horsepower and 450 foot-pounds of torque stock. That is the base model. That isn't the Z06. That isn't the Z51. That's completely bone stock, lowest level C7 Corvette, 450 horsepower.
Yeah, good lord. The styling as well. They've kind of been taking a note from Ferrari's page. When you look at how they styled the C5 going into the C6, they went from kind of rounded, bubbly Corvette in the C6. They modeled a lot of it after the Ferrari 550 Maranello, and you can see that evolution, whether they're taking more notes from Ferrari's page or whether they've kind of taken their own original route here. I'm not sure, but one thing you can't deny is that they've gone lame with their design, because this thing is extreme. It is much more intense than any past Corvette has been. This thing looks meaner than the ZR1, the 200 mile per hour Corvette. There's been some debate over whether the new tail lights are aesthetically pleasing or not. I don't know. I'll let them grow on me before I make a call on whether those tail lights are a good thing or not. But you can't deny that this thing looks really track focused. The interior's been spruced up quite a bit. If you haven't seen this thing, certainly go out there and look at it. I know Autoblog has a pretty big spread on it with several photos of the bright red Corvette right on their page. So it's really hard to miss this thing if you're into car auto news sites at all.
And just, if you haven't seen it, just imagine I guess you could say Corvette shaped. It's not really that. It's still the same uniform shape, I guess, as you could say Corvette. But imagine that. But Lamborghini took it, went, bam, we'll make it edgy and make it like hard edges on it, like you could cut yourself on it almost. Like imagine that, and that's what it looks like.
Do you know what I don't know about, though? I don't know about the side-by-side quad tailpipes. I mean, I guess it's a look at Ferrari with the 458, be like, 3 tailpipes? Really? We got 4.
But if you look back, I mean, the C5, they started that with the C5, had quad tailpipes right out the back, and basically it's 2 mufflers that are dual-tipped that come out the back and just exit right next to each other. So they started with the C5, which started in 1997, and then the C6 continued it, just a little bit neater package than it was in the C5, and now, I mean, they look like gun barrels coming out the back. It does not look like an exhaust. It looks like this car is going to shoot you. It seriously looks ridiculous.
Maybe
look at the front.
That's why it was in Transformers.
Yeah, you look at the front. The headlights pick up a new LED package that you're seeing on more headlights of cars now. It's kind of the angular design, maybe a bit taken from Viper, but I'm not going to fault them too much for that. They certainly need to do something. The one that's on display in Detroit isn't the Z06 package. It doesn't have any hood scoop or anything like that. It does appear to be a vent right in front. No ram air intake or forced induction or anything like that. But just way more angular than they've been in the past. The like he said, the whole shape looks very Corvette. If you looked at this, you would think, yes, this is a Corvette. But the top is hunkered down more than it was in the past. The rear wheel arches are more razored than they've been in the past, which is saying something because they were already pretty razored. I mean, they kind of look like the Camaro kind of a line right over the rear wheels, but in a good way, not in a copied way. The mirrors look the same as they always have, kind of just that they kind of pop up, and it looks like it's the only thing that really remains untouched. But you can see ginormous disc brakes front and rear on this thing. You know that this thing means business.
Well, we haven't talked about the car is actually wider than the C6, and it's got, I believe it's got 19 by 8s up front, or 19 by 10s, and 20 by 10 or 20 by 11s in the rear, which is significantly smaller than the C6. I mean, I know from work, changing tires on C6 is just terrible, because the rear wheels are nearly 14 inches wide on a stock C6, and it takes forever to get the tires off that thing. I mean, because it's wider, they can run smaller tires in the front and rear now, because there's more area for the car to hunker down. They don't need to run foot-long or foot-wide wheels. I mean, and another thing, they went with a 7-speed manual gearbox in this thing. That's 7 gears in a manual gearbox. The only other people that's done that is Porsche with the 911. I mean, that's amazing. For Chevrolet, they didn't put a 5-speed in it.
Yeah, absolutely. The interior as well is quite updated. You talk about Corvette, and everybody has been saying it. All the review guys have been saying that, when you used to think Corvette, you'd think, yes, nice performance car, but the interior sucks. Well, not anymore. The interior looks, at least this century, the seats are extremely bolstered. I'm kind of curious whether those will actually make it to production, but the seats look great. They're wrapped in a dark red leather with carbon inserts. The dash has carbon all over it. it looks great. It really does. It doesn't look like they skimped at all.
I feel like they're going for more of a supercar look and more of the supercar feel and everything. Because in the past, in my point of view at least, I felt like, oh, it's a Corvette. It's the cheap supercar, I guess. But now it's like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. Do you know?
No, there hasn't been a release quite yet.
Yeah, like I feel like it probably will cost more, and it's reasonable that it will cost more due to just the amount of stuff that they've done to it. Like 400 horsepower stock is insane.
450.
Yeah.
Which lands it somewhere between where the base model was on the C6 and where the Z06 model was, where Z06 had just over 500 horsepower, and then the ZR1 at a lofty 630 at the C6 model. So we haven't seen where the sports packages are going to take this C7 Corvette, but just imagine numbers north of where they already are. Why don't we go ahead and move on to back to Formula Forza and shift gears into Road Atlanta. It's coming up this weekend. Qualifying hasn't started yet, and this will be a first for R1. We haven't been here. Mazda Cup went there, had some success. Should be interesting to see what happens here. We did have our winter test here, but it really shall be a very interesting race to see what happens. Whether on a track this short, what kind of action are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the winter test from Suzuka to the actual race, the time's improved. I mean, at the winter test, Bulin Wall 5 ran a 105.483. That's unhumanly quick. That is so fast. And, I mean, there have been rumors that he can go quicker. I mean, I don't know quite yet, but who knows? He could drop it down even farther.
I think what we're going to see here is that the Paynos may struggle around Road Atlanta versus the Bentley certainly has legs here. And, in Winter Test 2, we saw LLBM's Clementalith give Alex P a run for his money. And we may see that, the Toyotas from both LLBM and Midnight Performance are giving everybody else a run for their money here. So do I expect Aces Wild to be off of, the top 4? No, but I think it'll be closer than it was at Suzuka.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like just looking at Suzuka, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we said that there was a set top 5 that we did in the last podcast, and there were a couple dudes that came in and shook that up. They said, to hell with your top 5, what you guys think. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to show these guys what's what. I mean, somebody's going to step up this week and completely show everybody up and say, look what I can do. Nobody thought I could do that, and I showed you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting a 104, we'll say a 104.6 or a 104.7 for pole position, and I'm going to say it's going to come from the Bulin Wall, followed closely probably by FMS Senna, probably somewhere in the same ballpark. We'll give it maybe a 10th or 2 gap to the Bulin Wall. Then we'll say Alex P, then Drake Hellspawn. That's my top 4 right there.
Yeah, I would go same top 3. Then, yeah, maybe Drake, but who knows? Somebody could step up. Clementalith isn't. They are in the Toyota. That car has been shown to be quick. I mean, Le Mans last year, I forget who ran it. It was
100th tie, was it?
It was them. Yeah, it was 100th and Kyle, I believe. They ran the Toyota last year at Le Mans, and they were hitting speeds that nobody else is hitting. I mean, that's insane. I mean, yeah, they probably had a detuned transmission, but I mean, that car definitely has legs. It's shown it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one that's going to be, kind of an unknown how well it performs here is the Ferrari of Serpent Racing. Very strong at Suzuka, but what can it do with that extremely long straight from turn 7 down to turn 10? Will they be able to keep up with the powerhouse, the Paynos, the Bentley, the Toyotas? Will they be able to do that?
My prediction is that qualifying basically the same thing you guys said about qualifying. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the race. And I know for a fact the race is going to be interesting because the race in Mazda Cup there was very interesting. I know there was a couple incidents, but other than that, it was a good race. And I feel like it's going to be even better in R1 because the caliber of drivers in R1 are just better than Mazda Cup. So it's going to be a great race.
Yeah, you had, let's see, what was it? You had TLR Speedstar from Tech Life Rangers pull out a second there on the podium. XPR Roadrunner finished first in Mazda Cup there. But, Mazda Cup and R1, there's still a pretty big gap there. APX Caramel was third in the Mazda Cup as well, and we have yet to see a performance from him, but that could come out this weekend. As qualifying roars up, he could come in and he's got a strong car. The Mazda 787 from Jet Lotus can certainly be a from nowhere car that disrupts the entire field here. I hate that connections play a role here at all in the championship, but it's kind of the cards we're dealt with. Forza doesn't have mechanical failures, like random mechanical failures. So I think we have to kind of look at it in that light, that it's something that kind of can't be helped, and what those that can help it, that's part of their performance package of what helps them win races. It's that they can stay in. We had Overdrive last year in R1 at Nürburgring. He had a lag out finish at Nürburgring Grand Prix with 2 laps to go. It was really disappointing to see that happen, and maybe in the end that cost him the title. Who knows? But we're looking here at the Atlantic GP coming up this weekend, and it seems like the whole first sector almost doesn't matter as much as what kind of speed can you hit on that back straight, because it doesn't seem like the high grip cars can really even come close to hitting the same kind of lap times that the powerhouses can.
Yeah, those the low power high grip cars it's going to be interesting to see how the team set those cars up, because there's not much more speed to milk out of those cars. The big cars, they have to tune them back to make sure they can take the small tracks like Suzuka and Infineon or Laguna Seca, but that, you see them tune them back, and here they could just go hog wild with their tunes. They can go, all right, let's see how quick we can get this car to go on the back straight. The first sector doesn't matter when you got all this power. The slower cars are going to have to either run way less aero than they should and kind of sacrifice the first sector to see if maybe they can make up some speed on the straightaways. But it seems like that it's going to be a battle for the rest of the field with the high grip cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go on record right now. I think in qualifying we're going to see both AVR cars into Group A, and we'll probably see a Rising Sun in there as well. I think the Audi R8 is going to perform well here, and especially in the race, I think that they're going to have the beans to get it done here. One big thing that's going to play an important factor in the Atlantic GP is because the laps are so short, we're talking just over a minute long, we're going to have lap traffic, and that'll be, they do need to concede, but there's really only 2 spots that they can concede. The turns between 7 and 10, and from turn 11, just as you crest the hill and go under the bridge, to turn 1, and that's still tricky because turn 12 is flat out, so there's not much room to concede here. So will lap traffic legally hold up the leaders and cause more position change?
Yeah, you might see a change in lead. Who knows? Yeah, one of those lap cars getting stuck in between conceding zones could really knock a guy back in time. The leader could be sitting there with a decent 5-second lead. He gets up to a guy in lap traffic, and that lead could be whittled right back down to where the guy right behind him can be right on his bumper as soon as he gets around that lap traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last thoughts before we go, and I'll start us off. my last prediction for the Atlantic GP, we're going to have, this is a really weird pit lane. We saw during the winter test that Alex P and Bulin Wall came in at the same time. Bulin Wall just ahead of him into the pit. Alex P got kind of randomly the first pit stall and was released before the Bulin Wall. So he passed him in the pits. He came in after him, but came out before him. Weird stuff like that's going to happen. This is an odd pit entrance. It's kind of like Le Mans a little bit, where it winds right as you go in. You cannot fly into this pit lane without hitting the wall. So you got to come in at a controlled speed. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself with damage. So that's my prediction. Last thought is that this pit entrance, the pits here are going to play an important role. This is an extraordinarily long pit relative to the length of the track as well.
My predictions are, my final thought would be, for both lobbies, the first corner at the start is going to be way more important than it is at other tracks, because there's no room for the slower cars to make up speed or make up time on the fast cars. So if one of the slower, better handling cars can get the jump in the first sector, he can hold back one of the top guys and kind of slow him down a little bit. And I'm not going to say there's an accident, but that would be a terrible thing, but hopefully there's not contact. But one of the slower cars can jump up in the field during that first sector on that first lap and really shake up the race.
Even going off what Derek said, actually, I feel like corner 3 is more important than corner 2 is. Or corner 1 is, because corner 1 you can, if you go wide, you're fine, but corner 3, if you basically cut the corner. So if you take that wide, you're going to lose so much ground on that corner. So I feel like that's going to be a lot more important than corner 1 is.
Yeah, that's an interesting point for sure, because turn 1 is a difficult turn in, but it's not uncommon. It's like a Silverstone right-hander turn 1. And I don't think we're going to see position change there right lap 1, turn 1. I think people are going to keep their heads on straight and they'll get through there. But, I think Brad might be right on turn 3 there. Lap after lap, if you can take turn 3 quick, that sets up turn 4 and the S's for a fast lap. And with that being the only grip sector, the fast guys through this first sector are going to be the guys that, you can't really mess up a whole lot on that straight. So it is going to be turn 1 through turn 6 that are probably going to win this race here. All right, well, with that, why don't we go ahead and sign off? Join us next time for another episode of the Formula Forza Pre-Race Podcast.
Thanks for listening.